Hey, I don't usually talk about Darkest Dungeon 2 that much, which, by the way, it's a game I love to play. Despite me playing a lot of Team Fortress 2, I like playing a lot of Darkest Dungeon 1, 2, a lot of those sorts of games. I am here to do a form of rant. I don't really have a script with me right now. I'm not happy with the way this game's going. All right, I'm just not with the Binding Blade release. Okay, so from the top, Darkest Dungeon 2. Darkest Dungeon 1. Loved it. Great game. Lots of hours. Lots of mods. Still love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Darkest Dungeon 2. On theory, it's good. It's great. I love how it looks. I love how the game plays. The game, in my opinion, without any of the stuff that I'm going to mention right now, is too hard. I know it's a skill issue. I know it sounds like, oh my god, you can't play Darkest Dungeon 2, but I think the game is just too hard at its state already. It took me 50 hours, plus a save wipe from a blackout, which, by the way, if you're going to play Darkest Dungeon 2 and you have a thunderstorm and there's going to be a blackout, make sure you save, or actually just don't play the game if you know you're going to have a blackout, because the game will completely fry your save if you have a blackout and you load into a battle. Had to do that, erased 30 hours in the save. So I spent the other 40 hours of my save trying to play this game. 40 of those hours spent were trying to beat Act 2, which I couldn't beat. Act 3 I swept by easily, for some reason. Like, I saw Act 3 was meant to be this major horror, horrid boss thing, which I heard got nerfed, but was still hard. It's fine. I can't speak. I'm at Act 4 right now, and I've died a few times. It's not... I'll get through it. But, yeah. The game is just hard. And now, keep in mind, I have maxed out all my candles. I have maxed out all my heroes, right? Not my candles. I am halfway through my other supplies, my other, what do you call it? Things to max out, Apart from that, I've only got the cosmetics and a few extra town and wagon items to unlock. And then I'm maxed out. The game is too hard. Now, this was before the Binding Blade got released, or, announced, right? So, first things first. I have several issues with this DLC already, right? I don't think that you should put the Crusader, who was in the first game, behind a paywall. I don't think you do. You should do that. I don't think that's quite a fair thing to put this through, since we already had him in the first game. Now, the duelist looks cool, right? She looks alright, and the wandering mini-boss that they're adding in looks cool as well, right? My next issue with the DLC, apart from adding in a character that we had in the first game, is the price tag. $9.99 USD. That's 15 Australian dollars for two characters, one that we already had in the first game, and the second character, which is a new character, and a wandering mini-boss, which is not even a new area or anything. For context, Darkest Dungeon 1's DLC, the Crimson Court, was... hang on. Where is it? Crimson Court was 15 AUD. And that brought an entirely new set of enemies, bosses, region. I'm just pointing that out. And the Shield Breaker, while I don't use it, she was $5. Right, she was $5. Now, I get it, it's a bit of a different game. It's not meant to be Darkest Dungeon 1.5. I get that the developers want to make a different form of game, and so it's not exactly the same, so arguments can falter there. Like I said, I'm not scripting this. This is just talking off the mind of what I'm saying, but I still think it's a bit weird that adding in the Crusader, who we had in the first game, under a $15 paywall, with another character and a mini-boss. Not even a regular boss, not even a new region or an area. It's just a wandering mini-boss like the Collector. I don't think it's worth it, and I don't think it's fair that you charge that much. If the DLC was knocked back to $10 Australian dollars, then yeah, I could see it, kind of, because at least that way that'd be like $5 for a hero, and the wandering mini boss can be the cherry on top. I think that would be better. Now, like I said, the game's already hard enough. My party that I mainly run is Plague Doctor at back, DOT, healer. I have Highwayman, that's a sharpshooter, rank 3. Then I have rank 2, Man-at-Arms, with Riposte and Bolster and Bellow, and Retribution and Leper with, I forgot what it was called, Tempest, I think that increases his damage up front. But you know what I mean. You get Lepus from right to left, Leper, Man-at-Arms, Highwayman, and Plague Doctor. I can switch Plague Doctor out to Occultist or Vessel if I feel like it, but as you can see, my thoughts are not here as it's 11:11 right now. But that's just my party. I find the game a bit hard, and I think it's a somewhat decent party. I know that there are better parties, but that's just the party that I've stuck with the best. Right? Now, I've just talked about the DLC, how I'm not exactly happy with it, and a few people have shared my sentiment. Others are against the sentiment and think it's more than fair, which, you know what, it's your money, you spend it how you want. I'm just saying, I don't personally think it's worth the money right now. I might get it on sale, but I'm still a bit dirty on Red Hook. Now, the next nail in the coffin, the update that's killing Man-at-Arms. Okay, so let's firstly go through some of the updates. Remove positive quirks at hospital, good. Backline breacher, please get rid of it. New combat route encounters, alright, cool. Rank highlight, indicate, okay, whatever. Party hero, loadout saving, thank you, that'll save me an extra 10 minutes. Reorganizing my party. Achievement list, don't care. Travelog, don't care. Crossroad UI, don't really care. Yeah, don't care. Days, don't really care. Heroes, Highwayman. Aim upgraded no longer grants a speed token. Little bit problematic since aim allows Highwayman to act pretty quickly. Which if you're facing the Wandering General, the Tree General, whatever his name was, Sleeping General, sorry, and you need to get the tokens off, and it's not exactly great. Man-at-Arms. They kind of butchered him. Crush damage from 4 to 7 to 4 to 6. Okay, whatever. Crush plus from 6 to 8 to 5 to 7. Whatever. Rampart from 3 to 6 to 3 to 5. Okay. Rampart from 4 to 7 to 4 to 6. Retribution cooldown increased to 2. And upgraded no longer gives block. Retribution is meant to target the Man-at-Arms. And I don't know why you'd increase the cooldown and give it block. Increasing the cooldown to 2 already makes Retribution questionable to get, in my opinion. Because it just... I see Man-at-Arms as a tank that is meant to, tank all the damage, obviously, and stress heal. That's how I play Man-at-Arms. So, yeah, I just think that if he can't soak up any more of the damage, then what's the point in choosing him? If that sort of thing. Riposte damage from 4 to 6, 3 to 5. I don't really mind Riposte damage being reduced, to be honest. Riposte is just the cherry on top. But Retribution not granting block is a major issue to me. I can't tell you how many times where I've used Retribution and the Man-at-Arms get saved from his blocks by a crit. I can't tell you how many times that has, utterly just saved him. Bolster no longer removes vulnerable from the target. That is a bit of a issue that I have as well, because vulnerable is pretty, bad to have, It's not great to have it. And Bolster upgrade no longer removes weak and vulnerable, so Bolster's only good for removing 1 or 2 stress now. I think, or adding a shield to Man-at-Arms. I can't quite remember, but they've kind of gutted him a little bit. He's not great anymore when this update drops. I'm sure he's still going to see action. He's still but my main issue is Retribution and Bolster. I think that's with everyone, but I don't really care about crush damage being reduced. People say that Man-at-Arms is the best. I can see that heal's powerful, more powerful than the rest of the team. Which, yeah, okay, he can use a bit of a nerf. I think just keeping his damages down is a fine enough nerf, because it still keeps his utility as a tank there. Cultist, don't really care. Bosses, the Collector now has a chance to spawn once per region. Collector has now spawned with an extra action on the first round. Thanks, Red Hook. Thank you. I definitely wanted all the heads to attack me turn one they get summoned. I definitely wanted that, so I can't, kill them off before they have a chance to react. Thanks. Appreciate it. Now, another thing that I have a problem with these nerfs, where was it? Yeah, all these stuff. It seems like they're slowly implementing flat heals instead of percentage heals, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Because flat heals buff the squishy classes somewhat, right? It's like you have 15 health compared to 100 health. If you're going to heal 33% on that, that's 33 health instead of 5 out of 15, unless it, compared to, say, healing Slav heals 12, right? If you had a 15 health guy that was on fire, had 3 health, it'd heal him back to full instead of, healing him for 5. It buffs the squishy classes, nerfs the tanky classes, and I'm slightly worried that they're going to change more heals to flat heals, which would nerf tanks, which is not exactly something I'm happy about. What else is there? There were a couple other things I actually wanted to have a little thingy about. RNG. I get that Darkest Dungeon is overall meant to be about making the best of a bad situation, but I don't like it when it feels like they tried to take the RNG parts out of the first game and turn it into more strategy for this game, which I can appreciate somewhat, even though I do like randomness. Turning it to strategy, I can see why they did that, but it feels like with the tokens in this game, they turned it more into RNG, and while they did simplify it a little bit, they turned it more into RNG based, dodge tokens, miss tokens, all that sort of stuff, crit token, I don't like it as much. Another thing too, enemies can stun turn 1 and you can't. You have to set up for a stun, which annoys me. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of anything else I can complain about in this game. Right. Now, for some counter arguments, I've seen some people in the Binding Blade discussion in the announcement for the DLC. Obviously some people are looking forward to it. This guy I do kind of agree with. Like I said, going back on my opinions, ways to your opinions, but is character DLC really the best way to go rather than improving the base game to raise your value proposition? The adoption rate for the game to little bit, but I do think that this part of the argument makes sense. You should really feel like you should add more to the game that would balance it, so to speak. Because I still feel like it's very unbalanced for the most part. Gotta be hella disappointed. This really shouldn't be more than $5 of the amount of content. I do kind of agree. I think that, well, for me, it's $15. I think that 15 is way too absurd for this price. I wish I could clown emoji. $10 is a perfectly reasonable amount for this content and DLC. 2 new playable characters with the works, a new remaining boss, and more. Okay, yep. I just remembered that they're going to add in a few more trinkets and stuff. I still think that adding in a new region would sweeten the deal a lot more. How much do you expect them to make more DLC that introduces new regions or whatever if they don't have the fun? Then get out of here with that weak ass take. I don't think it's that much of a weak take, to be honest. The guy doesn't want to pay for more than what would be around $8 Australian for 2 characters, a roaming mini boss, and a couple extra trinkets. I don't blame him. In fact, like I said with the shield bearer, a shield bearer was $5 45, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. Red Hook has to make all characters from DDD1. Yeah, no, I think you have to pay for... Why? Okay, here we go. Clip to make one response. Thank you. Nope. Why do I have to pay for DLC? Should have been in the base game. They bring Houndmaster back. Should have been in the base game. Shut up and go play something else after that. Instead of that, $10. Disappointing spoiled children. Jesus Christ. I at first thought he was going to say, why isn't everyone else in the game? Which would be a valid point. I think that other characters should be in if they're going to, release DLC about it, then at least bring in some of the other characters that were in the first game. I get that Houndmaster, Musketeer, and Arbalest weren't exactly, the most popular. But, you brought back the Antiquarian even as an enemy. Can't you guys do something like that? I don't know. I know that making an enemy would be a lot easier than making a character since they'd have to interact with everyone else, but just implement them. Hell, I'm pretty sure some people would be happy if Houndmaster was one of the in-masters or whatever. I don't know. Right? But just having them not appear in the sequel feels odd. And that was another one of my gripes that I had. It's just the roster size just dipped a lot. We had one new character, the Runaway. Alright, cool. She's not even that good. I don't like her that much. And yet you take away all these other characters in the sequel. I don't get it. And I knew that Reynold would return. Right? I knew that Reynold would return for the main fact that he was one of the most popular characters in the first game. And also the community has been able to shift Red Hook's mind on decisions, such as death blow resistance on enemies to death tokens, or whatever they're called. Which, by the way, controversial opinion, I liked it when enemies had death blow resistance. So if you're going to add anything that would make me happy to this DLC, please add a Stygian Flame that brings back death blow resistance on enemies. That would actually be really cool. The game will be updated on top of DLCs. They're making the game's not 100% finished yet. This is one of my issues with games these days. The game is 100% finished. Well, then don't release it and don't send out DLC for paid content. Simple as that. If the game is not finished, do not release it. Jesus Christ. Don't release it if it's not finished. The game had a beta back on Epic Games a little bit ago. I only got this on Steam when it recently came out. When it came out, I got it then, recently. $10 for 2 DLC heroes. This is not bad. That's quite the contrary. I think it is bad. I don't like it. It's annoying. Dudes act like Red Hook can do everything. They always have something to yap about, like the madman from DDD. Every time they talk. Too expensive for 2 characters. For the price of this DLC, I bought Hades instead. I don't know why someone would buy this over another full game. That is another good point. That's why it's expensive. DDD2 is bad. No thanks. Give us back how things were in DDD1. I don't think it's bad. I do think... I remember from Red Hook. They were saying they didn't want to make I'm just going to call it Darkest Dungeon. Screw it. Darkest Dungeon 1.5. I remember them saying they don't want to make that. They want to make a different game with the same cast. Or at least a different style of game. Yeah. Don't like it earlier. One new character pursues cool balls. Really hoping you guys continue making new stuff. Kind of agree there. Free DLC. I do agree there. Like I said, if the game is not 100% finished, why release DLC that pads out the content? Don't release the game. Okay, creating DD1 Part 2 would be a mistake. Playing DD1 a month ago with a chance to hit mechanic, falling everywhere where you can quite literally miss all 4 attacks in a single enemy, wasting the whole round doesn't look like a fun experience. This is one of the examples I can do at the top of my head. I was playing a new save from a month ago. I agree that Darkest Dungeon 2 has some flaws that needs to be toned up and down in particular, but so is DD1. It's not flawless. It has workshop. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just reading through comments now. Russian, not going to say that. Don't tell me the Warlord is just a bone bearer from DDD1. It probably is. It's probably just a buffed up bone bearer, like what happened to Wilbur in the Sluice. Which, by the way, the Sluice is pretty fun. Go through it. Yep. Darkest Dungeon 1 costs $10, has 11 heroes, 4 locations, plus Darkest Dungeon itself, plus each location has 2 bosses. $5 is a fair price for 2 characters, only one 1 boss, and 6 lore loading screens. It's not $5 though. I don't know where this guy's from, so expensive. I agree. On sale currently for $24, and that's just for the base game. Also 7 years old. The last major code 3 years ago. That's 4 years of updating, patching. Has been out 7 months. Whatever your feelings might be about DLC and pricing compared to the games at this point is kind of ridiculous. No, it's not ridiculous because on one hand, I compare. Okay, so here's another argument I have with indie developers and AAA developers. I don't give two shits if you're a sole indie developer or a AAA developer. If I think a game is bad, I will call it bad. Call a stone, a spade, a spade. You know? If a game is released undercooked, it's bad. You know? I find it bad. Like Darkest Dungeon 2, when I bought it, I wasn't entirely sold on it, but I thought, you know what, just keep playing it, it'll get better. That's not the mindset I need to have. I want to play a full game from start to finish in full completion. You know, I don't know. More like, okay, gonna be hell disappointed when they should make more than blah blah blah. More like a free DLC considered Darkest Dungeon 2 being a bit overpriced and having such a rough launch, not to mention DLC and a beloved character. It doesn't matter, he should have been there in the beginning. And having a rough launch, well, I don't... Let's not forget the shield breaker for Darshikan, blah blah, still costs $4, and all that was the shield breaker, 3 new enemies, and a gear stairhouse. Right, I forgot about them things. If we use sort of cost comparison for what I hear on a small amount of company, $9.99 is net far off the mark for both. An additional cost of $2 doesn't seem like a big deal. I don't know. I still think that for the same price, you get the Crimson Court, and I think the Flagellant comes with the Crimson Court. If not, I don't know. Voting with your wallet, that's an issue I have for another time. Voting with your wallet does not work. If you vote for your wallet with 1 against 10 others, they still make profit. Crusader is now DLC. What the frick? I agree. So, your hate boner is showing. I get you don't like Red Hook, but please have some decency. Oh, that's a part of a bigger thread. Very disappointing, honestly. Does this mean we can expect from Red Hook to fork over another $30 or at least eventually fill out a roster from the first game? I wouldn't mind paying for exclusive new faces to the roster, but I do feel cheated when it's the returning cost because you sold me an incomplete game. It felt has an incomplete game since release, but participating in forums and playing through the big overalls has emphasized that feeling for me. The Flagellant with the Crimson Court DLC should be the benchmark. See, I was right. A brand new hero and expansion is an easy purchase and doesn't feel like you're trying to finish an incomplete game. Another thing too is that Darkest Dungeon 2 is almost $50 compared to the first game. The second game is $50, and it still feels incomplete and undercooked, and all of the above. Yep, ain't spending money on a hero that's supposed to be part of the starting roster to begin with. See, I do think that they withheld Reynold from releasing him in the base game so they could use him as DLC. I do think that. Also keep in mind that each character is going to have powers that affect how they play. So I say it's a fair deal. See, that's what I mean. While I think that he should have been in the base game, they do bring up a fair point with Hero Pass, but Hero Pass don't really change that much about how a character plays. I mean, that depends on the character, but you have Melee play Doctor compared to DOT and Healer play Doctor, but it doesn't... I don't think the argument holds water that much. Fair price, I understand why people are crying, because Crimson Court is $15. Literally $10. Most comments here need to get a job. $10 is a lot if you don't have it. Could you try again? Just because you doesn't mean the rest of us do. Oink oink, pay piggy. Do you want to know what else is $10? Crimson Court. I hate how some people share the same argument as me, but have to be so retarded about it. I don't know. Like another game wasted in the pursuit of gold. DLC is too few content for the price of a quarter of a game. Exactly. I do agree with that. You got an update, thought it was going to be a free vanilla update play without the content. Shame. I would buy the DLC because I love the game and I don't really mean just to open your perspective. Everyone lives in the US and earn their salary in dollars, so it seems like a small amount you can actually... Same amount is one outing, so some people can allow per month, thus competing with it. And like I said, it's about $15-ish in Australian dollars. Yep. $10 for DLC heroes. Unlock method, the one that takes it away if you show us when playing for the first time if you had 100% of the game. I don't know. I'm split on whether No, keep the DLC, but I'm split on how you can unlock it. DDUs are quite the thing about. I get that it's a lot of programming, but I feel like people get cheated out when you don't have the entire cast from the first game. Unless you're willing to make the argument that either the Houndmaster, the Arbalist, or the Musketeer. I think I'm missing one. Can't remember. But unless you're making an argument that 3 of them died at the Heart of Darkness of the first game. Carbon copy of D1. Only $10 for a sale. I'm even willing to pay 30. Don't pay 30. A lot of negativity due its absence. Also buy this DLC for this price. Like I said, if I see the DLC for $5 on sale, I'll get it. Yep, I agree there. I'll wait until there's a big discount. I won't pay half the game's price for 2 characters and a mini boss. This should be $5 at most. Please reevaluate your business scheme. I agree. $10 for 2 heroes. I paid $20 for the whole game. Suck it. I agree. DLC makes focused fault easier to defeat. I don't know if that's a boss or not. We work the Cursed Torch acquisition. You can pay DLC and get back into the game. There's no way no one hails. I'm grinding 500 counts just to get to play the hardest difficulty. Quarter of the content for the base game. Looking forward to eventually picking up on the 70%, 80% discount for a few years though. And the sucky thing is, the DLC has been released in less than a week, so it probably won't even get hit by the Christmas sales. Yep, that's... let's do some math. Let's assume no math. DLC. Result in getting how does DLC becomes a new minibus plus the quest of... That's the thing, like, some Americans think it's decent for the price. However, I think that for accounting for, the price changes over in Australia, I don't think it's worth it. $15. At what point any of this they said it had to be free? It's literally said it's paid price. Yes, annoying these dudes acting like Red Hook can do everything. Where's Abomination? Ah, that's right, Abomination. Right, I forgot about him. I don't like him in the first game, but it's still... Kicked him in the balls over the DLC. I'll buy this in a heartbeat. 2 new heroes and a boss and new content. $10, a very fair price. I don't think it is for $15. Imagine White Knighting some dog devs. I wouldn't say that the dog either, but I think that it's just too expensive. Not to play the game. I just want to look at yes or no's. Please have some love for Brazil. Comment. Please add a bomb. He was my favorite. Gladly. I hate how some of these people... See, this is what I mean with voting for your wallet. Voting for your wallet doesn't work when the majority of people are still willing to pay for it and basically gatekeep the game. This is why voting with your wallet doesn't work. If you're on the other side of the fence. Obviously, they're voting for their wallet to, pay for it. I don't want to pay for this unless it's on sale. Hell, I think that Reynolds should have been the base game, like I've already said before. God, I really am sounding like a madman. I've been recording for 28 minutes now. Christ. I really do sound like the madman from Darkest Dungeon 1. Speaking about older characters, why did they make Bounty Hunter such a boring character? I think he could have been better implemented. I do think that his concept is fine, but I feel like if he had candles to keep him in the party, if it got more and more expensive, then that would have been cool. And I think that it would have given people an excuse to hold on to candles, because if you paid the candles upright instead of after the run, I think that would have been a bit better. But allow them to stay in your party through each run and keep costing more and more candles. I think Red Hood should make him a regular character, give him some shrines. I think that some shrines for the Bounty Hunter would be cool. But, like I said, he's not meant to be a permanent character. He's a soulless mercenary, but he can still build character from that premise. I think he should get affinity. Not get affinity, but still have shrines. Maybe shrines understand. Maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting concept, but I'm not too fussed if he does or doesn't. I don't use him that much, but when I have in my earlier runs, he was a beast. Looking forward to the announcement. How I explain the heroes. What does it mean by word and more? How much content will exactly be there? I mean, that is a good point too. I want to know what content I'm getting in a DLC that I might be paying for. Because when I say much more, and more, not much more, and more, that can mean, an extra trinket, 10 trinkets, 100 trinkets. I want to know what I'm getting. Other games charge that for a single cosmetic item. I wouldn't say it's a mounting value, but it feels fair given the market. Not really. So Insufferable, it's $10. If you want to skip out, there's going to be free content later. We compare it a game that had years of update patches. Like I said, doesn't matter the state of a game if it just got released or if it's been out for 10 years. I'll still say if it's good or bad. People are ignorant about the release on EGS. $1 million. I don't know. Don't release a game if it's not good. It's not an insane price tag, but it's more expensive than what individual DLC characters in DDD1, DDD2 is far more money. I think it's kind of garbage that DDD2 is double the price with DLC of the first game, and it's less characters on the roster, and you can't take two at the same time, which drastically reducing party combination that tracking and the less scattered the characters aspect. I don't really have a problem with not slotting in characters that much, because the cast in Darkest Dungeon 2 is meant to be the cast. The cast in the first game is meant to be more just, variants of these characters, different types of characters, and like Crusaders, Highwaymen, from all different whatevers, I'm not too fussed on that. No, Arbalist, I sleep. Fair enough. Path change, play them. A little questline for one limit, a roaming boss again, pass it. Get DDD1 to where it is, Nessa shut, maybe get rid of your hate burner and you have a better time playing this game. The game is good or bad, regardless. Yeah, yes, it took 7 years, but they didn't nickel and dime when we're getting good amount of base characters along the way here, and this game is nearly twice the price of the original, and you have a very little an argument as to why it is. You act like the characters in DDD1 can only be playing one way. This is just naive, flailing argument to justify your position. So that's not the case. Yeah, it's the same thing in the first game. It justifies them charging twice the price in the second game. You're delusional. Beating the first game in the hard sequel, there's a skill issue that is clouding my judgment of the sequel. This guy's a little bit of a nut job. Like, people are just insane both ways. Oh my lord. Okay. Well, okay. Jesus. Okay. I think that's enough of reading the comments. I have wasted enough time doing this already. But I know I've been on the defense and writing a review about it. Before I beat Chapter 2, if I wasn't going to get in the next few attempts, I was just going to say no. But I don't know. I'm still leaning more towards no, don't play it, because it feels like you can build an entire party only for it to be decimated. Which I get that, the game's like Dark Souls, right? I have many hours in Dark Souls. It's meant to be a decimate your party, and then you learn and replay it, and then you get better, and then you master it, and it becomes trivial. I kind of get that, but it feels like either I'm really bad at the game, and I'm just missing something completely in the game, like something that I just been ignoring unsubconsciously for like 76 hours, or this game is just too unfair towards the player in how it's just coming on. Like I said, the latest nerfs, I personally think that they nerfed Man-at-Arms to make Crusader more of a viable tank when he releases. I think that's the way they're going, and I don't like that way. And Highwayman take aim. That's such a weird thing. Just Highwayman, just take aim. No longer against a speed token. What? I don't know. I'm waiting to see how this goes. Like I said, I don't usually make videos like this, but it's a game that I've enjoyed. Well, yes and no, I've enjoyed. I've had ups and downs with it. The highs are highs and the lows are lows, and I've had more lows than highs, but the highs can be playing through it. Yeah, that's all I really have to say.